All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Adams Brothers podcast. We are joined here this evening with a candidate for. He's a candidate for judge in the 17th Judicial County Court, Group 10. We are joined here this evening with Mr. Sam Stark. Again, like he's a candidate for judge. So, Mr. Stark, welcome to the Adams Brothers podcast.
And thank you for joining us.
Harold Wayne, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Mr. Stark, why don't you tell the audience who you are, a little bit about you, your background, where you went to school, and whatever else you want them to know about you.
Sure. So my name's Sam Stark. I'm running for county court judge in Group 10 here in Broward County. I was born and raised here, born at Joe DiMaggio Hospital. Went to elementary school, middle school, and high school down here. I attended the University of Florida, graduated with a Bachelor's of Science in Criminology and a minor in education. I went up to law school at New England Law in Boston. I spent 3 too many winters up there. The cold was not to my liking, so I decided to move back home. I went to work for the Public Defender's Office under Howard Finkelstein. For 1 year, I was in the county court division, handling everything from traffic criminal offenses to first-degree misdemeanors. Had numerous jury and non-jury trials, motions to suppress, motions to dismiss. After a year in county court, I was promoted to circuit court, handling felonies, everything from third-degree felonies up to punishable by life felonies. While in circuit court, again, I had numerous jury trials, motions to suppress, motions to dismiss. During my time with the PD's office, I probably handled close to 1,400 cases or so. In 2017, I went to work with my father, who was a solo practitioner at the time. He was becoming inundated with too many cases and needed my help, and I wasn't about to turn a family member down. So I've been working with him since then. We handle family law and criminal law, although I handle mostly the criminal aspect. While with my father's firm, I've again had multiple trials. I've been all across Florida, Miami-Dade, Palm Beach, Collier, Alachua, Martin, St. Lucie. I've been all over the place. From 2023 to April of 2024, I was a traffic magistrate. So what that is if anybody ever picked up a speeding ticket or running a red light, something like that, getting into an accident, and they wanted to contest the ticket, they would come in front of somebody like me. It's not a judge's role per se, although as a magistrate, it was my duty to conduct trials, rule on motions, rule on objections. So it's quasi-judicial experience. So I'm familiar with how a courtroom works and the procedure. I'm very involved in the community. I'm part of a number of organizations since 2020. I've been with Habitat for Humanity, building houses for families who can't afford housing in the market that we currently live in. From 2022 to 2023, I volunteered at Holy Cross Hospital in the post-operative division. I was assisting doctors and nurses with patients who had just come out of surgery, getting them whatever they needed to assist the patients. Since October of 2022, I've been involved with Music Link Foundation. What that is it's an organization that partners music teachers with children from low-income families who can't afford formal music lessons, and it's my job to teach them. In my specific instance, it's the guitar. I'm not very good, but I know the basics. And then finally, I'm involved in Sister Robin Street Market, my church, First Presbyterian Church of Fort Lauderdale. I've been a member there for 23 years. We partner with farms in West Palm Beach, and every other Saturday of the year, except during the summer months, we provide vegetables to needy families. So I've been involved in the community, and I have experience in the legal community as well.
Okay. That's a pretty impressive resume you
Yes,
have
it
there,
is.
sir. You know, and it's a good one. So
You stay busy in the community.
absolutely.
I don't like to let the grass grow under my feet.
There you go. There you go. And that's what we need more of that too. So you're going to be running for judge in the 17th Judicial County Court, Group 10. Let me ask you, how many judges are currently presiding over cases down at the county courthouse?
If
you
you
give
know,
a ballpark. You don't
know.
have to be right on the money.
Sure. So there are about 90 judges total,
Uh-huh.
and the county court is divided into civil and criminal. And I believe in the county level, including both civil and criminal, I think it's close. It's somewhere around 35 or so.
Okay. Okay. Okay, and that leads me into my second question. What are your views on more diversity on the bench and in the manner in which the courts treat people, particularly blacks
And minority.
and minorities?
Sure. My role as a judge is there's only one, if I'm elected, is only one thing matters to me, is that if the person who comes in front of me is a human being, we're not allowed to take anything else into consideration. And I pride myself on not seeing black or white. I pride myself on seeing a person who comes into the courtroom. As far as diversity within the judicial community, that is obviously something that I believe needs to be addressed, but what also needs to be considered when electing somebody for judge is their qualification, their experience, and their involvement in the community. So there are a number of factors that go into that.
Yeah.
Okay. And like I say, I always ask this question here, especially this question. I have two friends. One is white, one is black. One was my white friend was caught and arrested for powdered cocaine, and my black friend was arrested for crack cocaine. And each one of them basically have the same arrest record. Disorderly conduct, or maybe one misdemeanor, pretty identical. But my black friend received a harsher sentence than my white friend. So that leads me to my question of how would you address the issues of black defendants receiving harsher sentences than white defendants who have committed the same crime?
So I have to be careful in answering a question like that, because the
you
judicial
can.
canons, they don't allow us to
Right.
say how we would rule on a specific case.
Right.
What I can say is when handling a case, the only things that I take into account are the facts of the case, the criminal history, and any other factors that may be contributing to why a person is in the courtroom, such as substance abuse issues or homelessness issues or mental health issues.
Okay. And mental illness is real. We all know mental illness is real. We see it all the time. We see defendants who, about a month ago, a little less than a month ago. I'm pretty sure you've seen it on the news. Sonia Massey, out in Illinois, Springfield, Illinois, called for service. Put a call in for service for the police officer, and she was in mental crisis, and she was subsequently shot in the face and killed. And there are a lot of people that's arrested and taken to jail while they're having a mental crisis. So how would you deal with a defendant who has a history of mental illness in your courtroom?
So I'm glad you asked that question. 2 weeks ago, I had the opportunity to attend what's known as community court. What is that exactly? Well, community court allows people who are arrested for municipal ordinances, things like public drunkenness or urinating on the street, who obviously have issues such as substance abuse or mental health or homelessness issues. And what happens is these individuals meet in a building downtown, and inside the building are a bunch of members from different organizations that can help the defendants who are suffering from these issues address those issues. What I would like to do, if I'm fortunate enough, now I'm at the discretion of, if I'm elected, where the chief judge would place me. but I would love to be placed in criminal court so that I could potentially have the opportunity to serve in this community court. But my philosophy would be to partner with these organizations, to reach out to them, to make sure I have contact with them so that I know that I have a contact to reach out to say, hey, this person is in my courtroom. They're suffering from this particular ailment. What can we do to help them? What information can I give them? Where can they go?
Is there such thing as a mental health court down at the Broward County Courthouse?
There sure is. There sure is. And it's run by a phenomenal judge who cares very much.
Okay. Yeah, that's becoming a big issue here in this country right now. Mental health, and there's just locking up people. That's not solving.
It's not working,
and that's not working. And we need to find other ways to deal with these people that need help, and not a bullet to the head. So that's good to know that Broward County has a mental health judge that's dealing strictly with mental health defendants down there in the courthouse.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Stark, describe a time you had to make a difficult decision as a magistrate.
Oh, a difficult decision as a magistrate. Well, let's see. I had an individual who came into my courtroom who I was forewarned had some mental health issues. And it was clear that the individual was in the wrong. And I had to be careful with the way that I treated the individual and worded how I was going to make my ruling, because I didn't want to trigger him one way or the other. It's important to recognize who's in front of you and treat them with the dignity and respect they deserve given their circumstances. I don't know if I can go into exactly how I ruled against because of the canons, but it was a little bit of a stressful environment, and I took care of it with ease.
Okay, and also explain how you would handle a situation where a defendant was not being represented fairly by counsel.
Okay, again, this is getting a little bit close into how I would rule on particular cases, which I'm not allowed to do in the canons. The judge's job is to be fair, impartial, transparent, and to make sure everybody in the courtroom's given a voice, and to give everybody due process, whether they're represented by somebody or whether they're not represented by somebody.
Okay. And are you familiar with the latest laws, regulations, and new court decisions by the Florida Supreme Court and the U.S. Supreme Court?
So I'm kind of a nerd in that I check Florida Law Weekly almost every day to read up on new rulings as far as cases that have been appealed at the county and circuit level.
Okay, and when you said you worked at under Howard Finkelstein, how was it working in the public defender's office, and what made you want to make the leap from representing defendants to being a judge over the prosecutors and the defense? So
I loved my time as a public defender. I really did. I enjoyed it. I interned with the PD's office my second year in law school, my third year in law school. I knew that that's what I wanted to do. They offered me the courtroom experience that's necessary to refine and hone your skills as an attorney. I didn't want to leave. I really didn't want to leave when my dad asked me to go work with him. But as I stated, when your family asks you to help out, it's faith and then family for me. So that's the reason I left. But I really, really did not, because I actually at first told my dad, I don't want to leave. I'm not ready to leave. I really enjoy what I'm doing. The reason that I became a traffic magistrate is because I saw the trajectory of my career going towards sitting in a judicial capacity, and being a traffic magistrate offered me the opportunity to take a baby step towards that. Mm-hmm. So there are no prosecutors in traffic court. The police officers come in and testify as to the facts and circumstances surrounding the case, though.
Yes. And describe your experiences working with juries and with witnesses in the courtroom.
Sure. I've had probably close to 30 jury trials, again, ranging from misdemeanor DUIs all the way to armed home invasion robberies, which are punishable by life felonies, picking juries ranging from a veneer, and a veneer is the group of people who come in a jury, all the way from 25 people up to 50 plus people. As far as handling witnesses, it's a case by case basis. You have to read the person as well as read the room.
And what techniques do you use to maintain order in your courtroom?
You have to be level-headed. You can't get too high. You can't let the highs get you too high, and you can't get the lows get you too low. You have to remember to be dignified and treat people with respect.
Mm-hmm.
No raising of the voice, monotone. You can't let those difficult individuals who come into the courtroom rattle you in any way.
And do you have any outside of what's next for you if you don't get elected?
I'll go back to what I'm doing now.
Yeah, that's good. And again, like my brother was saying, asking earlier, not getting into specifics. And I know it's a very touchy situation. I mean, a question, but how would you handle cases involving sensitive topics such as race, gender, and religion? I know it's on that line, but
Do the best you can.
do the as best you can.
It is on that line. I'll say that the only thing that you can't let any outside influences come in. Okay. We all come from our unique experiences and have, events that have happened to us that shape us as people. There's no escaping that. But judges, okay, we sit in the unique position where, sometimes an individual's liberty is at stake, and we have to make sure that they're given due process and that we're fair, transparent, respectful, and that we make sure that they're given a voice.
And what steps would you take to protect the privacy of those involved in a case?
Well, you just have to adhere to the judicial canons. You can't be discussing cases openly. What happens in the courtroom stays in the courtroom.
Okay. That's pretty much all I had.
I have one other question before we wrap you up. Have you ever been disciplined by the Florida Bar?
That's a good question.
No, sir, and I don't plan on it.
Okay, yeah, that's important. We need to know
Yes.
if these candidates has ever been disciplined before we go out and start voting for them, because they really don't tell you much on the ballot. But should you retain this judge, and should you do this and do that? They really don't give you a whole lot of information. So you have to go out there and you have to educate yourself. So we always ask that question of all the candidates that come on here. So and the people need to know that.
Yes, they do.
Absolutely.
Yes, they do.
I appreciate you asking me, and yet the answer is a swift and fast no.
Yeah.
All right.
And you were swift and fast with that too.
Oh yeah. Okay, so the early voting starts, I believe, August 10th, I believe.
Yes.
And voting starts, the regular primary vote starts on August the 20th, I believe, correct?
Yes, sir. And I'm in a three-person race. So in my race on August 20th, somebody has to get 50% of the vote plus one. And if not, the top two go to November.
And how many people running total?
There are five open seats for county court.
Okay.
And mine is the only race with three. So I think that's there's a reason I became a lawyer. It's because I can't do math. So let's see.
Yeah.
Plus 3, 11.
Yeah. Yeah.
And who is the chief judge down there now?
Right
I
now,
used to know him.
Yeah, Jack Tudor.
Jack Tudor. Okay. So I remember back in the days, it was, I believe, Dale Ross.
Yeah.
I used to know them all years ago. I used to know all the chief judges back in the days, believe it or not. I just always, because you would always read about them in the newspaper. like maybe a judge got out of line and someone had to go and talk to them. So yeah, okay.
And our neighbor, we had a former neighbor live. He's passed away now, but his son was a judge down there. His name was Zebedee Wright. I don't know if
Zebedee
you
Wright.
remember that name now?
No, it might have been before my time.
His
Yeah,
wife was the school board building, the Captain Wright School Board building. It was named after his wife. His name was Zebedee Wright.
Okay,
Yeah.
very nice.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Mr. Stark, it's your time right now. Look into the camera and tell the people here, that the voters here in Broward County, why they should elect you as the next judge in the 17th Judicial County Court, Group 10. You have the floor.
Sure, thank you, Darren White. I appreciate it. So
You're welcome.
I'm running for judge for two reasons. One, I believe strongly in civil service. We're fortunate enough to live in a great country now. It's not without its imperfections, but serving as a judge, you're able to give back and make the changes that you want to make the country a better place. And the other reason I'm running for judge is because I believe in helping people. Now, I know one of the roles of a judge is to hold those who need to be held accountable, hold them accountable, but they also sit in the unique position where they can help change the trajectory of somebody's life. I believe the judge should possess four qualities. Okay. First and foremost, apply the law to the facts. That's our job as a judge. Secondly, be fair, be respectful, treat people with dignity. If you talk to anybody who knows me inside or outside of the courthouse, they'll tell you that those are characteristics I possess. Third, and I've discussed this a little bit, a judge needs to be transparent, a judge needs to be fair, a judge needs to be impartial, and a judge needs to make sure they give everybody a voice. If you talk to any lawyers who came before me as a traffic magistrate, they'll tell you that those are the qualities I possess. Finally, a judge should be involved in the community. For lawyers and judges, the community is bigger than the courthouse. A judge needs to be amongst the people that he's going to be presiding over so he can get to know them and understand that the issues they're facing. I'm involved in a number of organizations that's granted me the opportunity to be among the people and get to know those outside of the courthouse. So those are all the reasons that I believe that I'm the right candidate for this seat.
Okay. And are you on social media, or how could they get in contact with you if they want to make a donation? To your
Yard
campaign?
signs or anything. How could people get in touch with you to get those?
So I'm glad you asked about the yard signs. The reason that the yard signs aren't out yet is, I don't know if you guys have seen, but there's a big storm brewing off the coast.
So
if they go out and the storm comes, we're gonna have to go out, pick them up, and then put them back in. So we're waiting to see what this storm does. But information about me can be found at www.samstark2024.com. My number should be on there. You can reach out to me via email. I'm happy to answer any questions from anybody.
Okay, good enough. If you just joined us, we've been talking to Mr. Samuel Stark. He's a candidate for the 17th Judicial County Court in Group 10, and he's asking for your vote. Early voting starts on August the 10th, and voting for the primary starts on August the 20th. So, Mr. Stark, when you win,
Come
don't
back.
be a stranger to come back on the Adams Brothers podcast
and thank the people for winning.
right, for winning and talking to us here, and,
Right.
and keep in touch with us. That's all.
Yeah,
Thank you for
definitely.
having me. This is the first podcast I've ever been on. So
Oh, really?
You did an outstanding
Yeah, you
job.
did a nice
man. Real
job.
calm, cool, and collected. That's what we need on the bench.
And I like your community. One thing I like about you, I like your involvement in the community as far as habitat and other things. You don't really see that too often in judges. So I like that. That was very impressive. Even your bio that you sent, I told you was very impressive, and I like that.
gentlemen, I appreciate your time and thank you for the kind words. It's very humbling and it means a lot to me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Samuel Stark, good luck to you.
Good luck to you.
Next month on August the 20th. And
August
thank you,
the
sir.
10th.
Have a wonderful rest of your evening.
That's
You too,
right.
gentlemen. Thank you. Be well.
Good evening.
You
Good
too.
night.
Good night.